Dude, so great timing. There was an episode that I watched the other day, okay, of SpongeBob, and Patrick apparently was acting like a bullworm, and
Oh no, it's
SpongeBob,
more.
yeah, but SpongeBob was like, Squidward, I don't know what to do, like I can't tame him or whatever. And Squidward goes, oh, I'll do it. I'm an idiot tamer. I tame you, so I'll tame him. So he does all these things, and all of a sudden they get to a scene where he puts a shock collar on Patrick. He presses the button, and it's like vibrating, and Patrick's just like, like he's enjoying it. And I'm like, this is a little inappropriate. I'm like, that's a little weird. And then he touches the collar, and it shocks him. I'm like, that was a little sneaky. The little sneaky thing you put in there, that's a little gross.
A
But I
little,
see what you
yeah.
did there.
SpongeBob is that was the new one or the old
That
one?
was a newer one.
I was gonna say I don't remember that from the old one.
I would remember if that was.
Gosh. Good old SpongeBob. But anyway, on that note,
Hi.
welcome back to another episode of the Ghoulfriend Hour. I'm your host, your ghost host, Morgan Fezza.
I'm your hosty, ghosty, toasty, mosty, Taylor Jones.
Dang. You heard that rhyme? That's pretty serious.
Yeah. I was trying to think, isn't there like a treat that rhymes with like a little Debbie's treat or something that's sounds like host. Oh, I was thinking of hostess. Never mind.
Oh, little Debbie would be disappointed.
I should have
She's gonna
said
get Big Deborah involved for that one.
hostess with the mostest.
She's gonna be like, I can't believe Taylor just insulted me. Big Deborah, come get her.
I thought it was little Debbie's. Forgot.
That was funny. No, it was a hostess. Hostess with a ghostess.
It wasn't until I said hosted, I was like, oh,
A
hostess.
ghostess. A ghost holding no. A ghostess holding a hostess.
Yeah. Now you gotta put that on a t-shirt.
We have a whole list of things that we gotta stick on a t-shirt.
We have a whole list of things we have to do.
We just have a whole list. It's a scroll at this point. Like I'm like,
The
I
list
thought for
is titled
sure,
Quarter Life Crisis.
yeah, I thought for sure I was gonna have like more time and like now being home with my daughter, I'm like, bro, like
Yeah,
I
but
don't know where.
even the time that you do get, like when I get free time, it's like I don't want to fucking do anything because I'm so mentally and physically exhausted.
I feel that. I feel that. Like I'm like, I just want to like close my eyes and just rest for a moment. Like and not focus on anybody but me for like
Mhm.
for like an hour.
Just be like, Maisie, you go take care of yourself for a minute, okay? Mom needs some self-care time.
We're at that stage right now where it's like quiet means destruction and it's really scary. Like I'm like I feel like we can't sit down. And poor Matt.
Um,
Matt is like fed up. Like when he like I know it's been a long day when Matt starts to lose his shit because like he's the we're so yin and yang. I am the Jersey Italian, like hot tempered, just like I'm gonna be that mom. And I'm like, please, like for fuck's sake, like just give like 5 seconds. I'm gonna be like, have you seen the skit with like Will Ferrell where he's like, get off the shed? Like
I
that's
think
me.
so.
And Matt is very much the like he's like, Maisie, get off the shed. I'm not asking you again. Like he's just very like calm, very like and it's like getting towards the end of the day and he's just like, would you cut it out? And I'm like, you know that you're misbehaving when daddy starts to yell. I'm like,
Mm.
because he does not yell. He is not a yeller. So that's how life has been going in our household.
You're like, Patrick and I were just watching it before I came on. You're like, did you touch my drum set? I know you touched my drum set. And I want to hear your dirty little mouth admit it.
That
This class
is
doesn't start till 4.
Matt keeps talking about that. He keeps reciting that line ever since Maisie got a drum set.
This second, okay, so when my mom showed me on Christmas Day or Christmas night that you posted that, and my mom goes, "Look, Maisie got a drum set." And I go, "Did you touch my drum set?" I was like, "That's the first thing that came to my mind because you can't look at a drum set and not think that."
Dude, I thought she was gonna be like over the moon. And it was like she walked right past the drum set. Like she just didn't even like,
So I
and
don't know.
Matt was playing with it more than her. Like he was like sitting on her stool and like rocking out on the drum set. I'm like, Matt, I'm like, this is for the baby. Like, get off of her tiny stool. You're gonna break it. Like, and it's like a legit drum set. It's metal. Like, it's like legit. It has the little foot pedal and little like cute stool. And I'm like, dude, you're gonna break through the stool. I'm gonna be pissed. I'm like, get the fuck off the drum set. Like,
Oh my
leave it
God.
alone. I was like, Maisie, aren't you so excited? She's like, no. I'm like, okay, I'll just go fuck myself. Like, but so anyways, tonight we're bringing like literally one of my favorite supernatural spooky stories, the legend of Bunnyman Bridge. So
Mhm.
I will preface this with the very first time that I heard about this story, I think I was like, I want to say I was like 7 or 8. I was young, and this was like back in like I guess like 2000s, like early 2000s, when ABC Family used to do not it wasn't the 31 nights of Halloween. You only had 13 days of it. So like I remember like waiting like clockwork. I was like, we need to get to the 13-day countdown because ABC Family had the best besides AMC. Those were like my two channels. I just like flip-flop. I used the little
Mhm.
remember the remote had like that last channel button?
Mhm.
My grandparents, that was the only time where like there was no war over the TV. Like I would never infringe on my grandpa's Judge Judy time, would never infringe on like my grandma's like old Western movies. This
Mhm.
time I was like, no, when I come home from school, I'm watching Angela Anaconda. I'm watching Casper. I'm watching this is my season. I have 13 days to soak this all in. So like it was like back and forth, back and forth. But there was a show called the um Scariest Places on Earth, and it had that little lady from Poltergeist with that really creepy voice. And
Cute.
she's like, "Ooh, this little scariest places on earth." I can't do the voice, but it like she does it extra creepy. And
Oh, this is
I remember
funny.
like her voice alone, like the show would get started, and before like they would even tell you like what cases they were going to talk about or like what hauntings, I was like already like shitting my pants. And I remember I was at a friend's house, and so we're watching this, and it comes on. We're like, oh yeah, okay. So like, what are they going to talk about today? And it was like the plantation. There's another one that was Bunnyman Bridge, and I'm like, oh, this sounds interesting. Bunnyman Bridge. It came up on it, and this was I've watched so many episodes of this freaking show, and like this was the one story. I don't know why. It just stuck with me. It scared me shitless. I'm pretty sure I didn't sleep for like a long time. A long time.
To you, it was a long
And
time, but to adult life, it was probably like half an hour.
yeah, it was it was like really freaking scary. And I was like, I don't know like how to um process this. Like, and I was like, and it's not like I had to worry about it. I was in New Jersey and this takes place in Fairfax, Virginia. So like I was a decent distance away, but for some reason I was like, it was that irrational fear where you're like, well, what if like I'm just what if my parents are driving me around and they accidentally drive under this bridge and they don't know it's Bunnyman Bridge?
Makes sense.
And the mind of like a neurodivergent, anxious child. That's just my
Yeah,
life.
of course.
I'm like, oh, what if I just like happened to take the wrong street
Right,
and
and you just
next
end
thing I
up like
know,
6 hours away in Virginia.
yeah. I'm like,
It
what if
happens.
this just turns into Bunnyman Bridge? You just don't
Just
know.
want you to know, I just completely missed my mouth.
Yeah, I did see that. I was
You
gonna let
did.
it slide. I was gonna let it slide, and I was like,
I
we're just
wasn't.
we're just gonna let that go. And then Taylor was like, nah, I'm gonna tell it myself.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, so Bunnyman Bridge, super spooky. Like I said, takes place in Fairfax, Virginia. I'm gonna play a small clip of the show that I was just talking about, just so you guys can kind of feel. And remember, I was 8 years old, so if this seems kind of cheesy to you, keep your opinions to yourself because it scared me. Okay. Um, but it was like I think like they don't like I think we can all agree they don't make shows like they used to anymore.
I like the
Um,
old shows.
yeah, like they
They're
just
done so
don't
much better.
they don't make the shows like they used to. Um, and I kind of miss the 13 days of Halloween. I don't know why it keeps doing this. I like select a screen that I want to share and it's like, nope. Um,
Psych.
but this is the creepiness that I experienced.
Wait, is there sound? I don't hear sound.
You don't hear anything?
No.
Oh gosh. I'm gonna record it. We're just gonna hope for the best, I guess.
Should we like make a monologue?
Maybe it'll record on my end.
Do you hear it on your end? Oh shit. I hear something, but I don't know if it's coming from your headphones.
Yeah, I can hear it. I can hear it on the.
Sounds beautifully silent. Dude, imagine it doesn't show up. You're just sitting in silence.
Sorry.
I feel like I should be making imaginary faces.
It's the lady with the scary voice. So yeah, so it's spooky. It's ooky spooky. Um, I don't know. It freaks me out.
I'm gonna agree with you, even though I didn't hear anything. It sounded spooky.
It's when you play the video back, like if you watch this later,
Mm.
so you can hear it on my end, but um you wouldn't be able to hear it on your end. But I turned on our Facebook live stream to make sure and I could hear it there. So I was like, but you can hear like the creepy voice. But it gives like a good little synopsis of Bunnyman Bridge and kind of a couple of the locals like talking about it. Um but as you heard, the legend goes, um the Bunnyman was basically an asylum escapee. There was a group of them. There's so many different variations of it, and this is the thing with folklore is it's like a game of telephone, gets passed down so many times that the legend has kind of shifted and changes throughout. But it was basically a breakout of prisoners. One in particular was never like found. And they were like, well, where is this guy? You know, there were other ones that they had found, or I think some of them were dead. Um, And then basically, I'm going off of memory here, and then Taylor's gonna fact check me. Um, they found him, I think, dead at some point. I don't remember if he was hanging or what was going on. But he was eating like the mutilated carcasses of like bunnies and animals in the area to kind of survive the winter. And that's where he got his name, the Bunnyman. Was the legend that I was always told. So I don't know if Taylor, you want to swoop in and
I'm looking. You know so much more about this story than
it was a
I do.
hyperfixation episode.
I heard. No, you're right. You're right. You're right. So one of the versions, that's one of the versions that were told. Yeah, they
Yeah.
said he wrote, what was it? A mental patient escaped from a local asylum, found refuge in the woods around the bridge, distraught by the murders of his wife and daughter, which he may or may not have committed, they weren't sure. On Halloween, some children were hanging out near the bridge, and they confronted the man. Um, and he had murdered them in a blind rage, but he had remained in hiding and lived on wild rabbits to stay alive, leaving them half-eaten remains by the bridge.
Yeah.
So
Which
that's
is
one of the
like just
versions.
super spooky. And like as you can see in the video, for those of you that can't see anything and you're just kind of listening via Spotify, you can go to our YouTube and watch the little snippet. But the bridge is it's spooky looking and it's in a very like I mean, we all know Virginia, West Virginia, the Virginias, whatever you want to call it. They all
Virginians.
yeah. There's so many like just spooky things going on there, a lot of like cryptids and supernatural phenomena, and there's a lot of like haunted buildings and history there. And so I think it just adds to that like essence of spookiness. But I also I do think that sometimes I think I've said this before on here. People dabble in a lot of these hot spots or these places where folklore take place. And part of me can't help but wonder, how much of the stuff that's there is actually like true to the folklore and how much of the stuff is kind of brought there from teenagers going and dabbling.
Yeah, because it's all again, like you said before, like a game of telephone. Like you don't
Yeah.
know what's true and what's not.
And like if you have people, oh, excuse me, I'm yawning a lot tonight.
Me
If you
too.
have people that are coming to this spot, kind of like fancying this spot, and they're pulling out Ouija boards or spirit boxes, and they're just kind of blindly using them and they don't know what they're doing. It's very, I mean, from what I've learned, I'm sure it's not hard to open up a door, and bring some stuff through that,
Mhm.
you know, not well versed in and dabbling never. It's never a good thing. Oh
Nope.
my goodness.
Well, aside from the version that you had heard, I saw that there was a couple different versions. I mean, but then again, that's because of the game of telephone. But one of the versions that I did write down that I found interesting was that they said a bus was carrying convicts from a nearby insane asylum. It had crashed, and one of the prisoners escaped into the woods of Clifton. Um, During a search of the area, police found carcasses of dead rabbits hanging from the tree around the train overpass of Colchester Road Bridge before eventually locating the suspect. The man was wearing rabbit pelts and tried to escape the police, but before the authorities could apprehend him, the suspect was hit by an oncoming train over Colchester Road Bridge. His spirit is said to haunt the location to this day, and some have said his ghost may even appear at midnight on Halloween. I do see a lot about the Halloween thing. Like it seems like a lot of people
It's a big
base it
thing
around
around there.
Halloween. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big thing. There's a lot of locals that like to kind of just it's kind of like our like Clinton Road
Yeah.
from
Maybe that's
from what
what
I'm gathering. It just seems like it's like the teenagery spot to like after homecoming or like a football game or
yeah.
whatever. Like, hey, let's drive down to Bunnyman Bridge and
I think that's what the place I was thinking about before when we were talking about it. How like the Clinton Road was like the place to for all the teenagers to go over the years. I mean, not as
yeah.
common now because they fixed part of the road, but
Really?
It's still, yeah. That's the
Oh.
Clinton Road, right? Is that the one where like you could, where it has the like
It's
really
that
bad
really
bends?
long road that like yeah, can take you all the way to upstate New York.
Yeah, they said somebody said that it's either that road or it's a different road where like there's a lot of scary, like dangerous bends in that road,
That's
and
Clinton Road.
they fixed it or they fixed some of it or something.
It's I don't care who you are, you can be the bravest soul alive. That road just there's so many elements to why it's scary. Like not just supernatural, but like literally like maybe I shouldn't say like something. I'm not trying to give any like psychopaths like ideas, but
Mhm.
it's just it's a scary place to drive. Like
Mhm.
it's super spooky and it was fun when I was like brazen and younger, but now that like I'm a mom and I'm more domesticated, I'm like I have definitely used up all 9 of my lives. Like
I used
I've
up all
used
mine on asbestos places.
yeah, I feel like yeah, people like us, Taylor, I don't know what's going on, but like I think the fact that we've used all 9 of our lives and we're still like floating around
Kicking,
creating mischief is a
maybe that's why we're so dysfunctional.
uh,
It
uh,
just chemically changed our brains a little bit. All that asbestos.
going into haunted New Jersey places
Mhm.
like Greystone and yeah. But the part that freaked me out about this um was the initial story about so the story that they talked about on Scariest Places in America was the group of teenagers that was supposedly like where I guess all these stories had originated from was there was a murder that was taking place at Bunnyman Bridge. Um, again, could be folklore. And then again, could not be folklore. I don't think there was any like true confirmation from the local authorities on this. But some had said that it was a group of teenagers that went and they found all of them hanging with like their throats cut and like they were like like gutted and there was like basically like hunted, not to get like too graphic, just like a rabbit, what like how they found the rabbits is how these teenagers were like hanging from the bridge.
Mm.
Um, but then there was the other one that said it was kind of like a lover's lane. Um, and like they the boyfriend, like you know, the typical boyfriend hears a noise, he goes out, and there was some commotion. Girlfriend then sees like all of a sudden in the headlights he appears and he's hanging from the bridge. And then next thing she
Gross.
knows, she's right there beside him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Taylor just
don't
had
know. Did
Taylor just
you?
had to add that in.
The way you were speaking just felt like it needed a yeehaw.
I don't know why. Just sometimes you got to feel out the sentences, and sometimes they need a southern twang.
Hmm. Sometimes you
Um,
just need to add the pizzazz to it.
yeah, but so I feel like it would be fun for me to kind of maybe read you guys like the story of like the actual story of what happened. Um, but this is what they're calling like the Genesis event and what has been like repeatedly reported in like archives and records. So it said that in 1970 a couple was parked in a driveway not far from the train overpass when they had a terrifying encounter. Someone appeared very quickly, yelled something having to do with trespassing, and threw a hatchet at the car. They did not get a very good look at the person. All that they really got was dressed in white or light colored clothing and may or may not have had something on his head. And then when the story kind of hit the papers, things kind of started going. The something on his head turned into bunny ears. Um, so that was kind of like the thing. Um, that was like the game, I guess, where the game of telephone really started. Then the one that I had kind of told you about that was written in the archives was um basically one Halloween night, group of kids was hanging around the bridge. They reported seeing some sort of bright light or orb, and then in a flash, before they had all known it, they had all been strung up like the bunnies, and then they were gutted and hung from the bridge. And so the rumor goes if you come here on Halloween night at midnight, you'll end up just like those kids and the bunnies. So those were the two, like I had said before, trajectory events that kind of kicked it off. Um, and Brian Connolly, who is like a I don't know if he's like a historian, but I think he's like an archivist for the Fairfax County government. He worked for the county's library system as a historian, so I guess we can call him a historian. So he was doing a lot of research and whatnot. And he had heard so many different variations of the story and heard so many different things that he was like, dude, I'm kind of tired of hearing like I don't know what the real thing is, and he wants to know and like get down to it. So the event, like I said, that he what he calls the Genesis event that stemmed, everything that seemed the most truthful, factual he could find archives on, was the story about the couple that had their car hit by an axe. And then from that's when all these stories were coming out, people just sitting around, um, campfire, changing it up, making it spooky. Um, and it just got increasingly crazy. And so people are constantly going out here. And what was funny was me and Taylor were kind of chatting before the show. One of the things that I had found out in doing a little bit of research was um the Bunnyman is actually like less frequently seen than another paranormal figure that tends to make way more appearances at this spot. Um and so there's been a lot of sightings, of this other paranormal entity. But before we get into that, there are two incidences where um they were talking about scary happenings that they had at this bridge. So there was only two recorded incidences that we had
Yeah.
for Bunnyman Bridge. And then I'll kind of go on to talk about like there was like maybe like 20, 30 instances of this other paranormal figure. So Taylor, if you wanna report the first one, coming
I
at you
need to.
live,
I
Taylor
need to.
Jones.
I'm trying so hard to not zone out, and I feel like you've noticed it a few times where I'm just like,
It's all right. I was like, is she dissociating? Is she
yes,
dissociating right now?
yes, a few times.
It
Okay.
happens.
Okay, so the first incident was reported the evening of October 19th, 1970, by the U.S. Air Force. My brain almost said Academy.
It's totally fine.
Academy cadet Robert Bennett and his fiancee were visiting relatives on Guinea Road in Burke. Around midnight, while returning from a football game, they reportedly parked their cars in a field on Guinea Road to visit an uncle who lived across the street from where the car was parked. As they sat in the front seat with the motor running, they noticed something moving outside the rear window. Moments later, the front passenger window was smashed, and there was a white-clad figure standing near the broken window. Bennett turned the car around while the man screamed at them about trespassing, including, "You're on private property, and I have your tag number." As they drove down the road, the couple discovered a hatchet on the floor. When the police requested a description of the man, Bennett insisted he was wearing a red suit with long bunny ears.
White suit.
How
White
However,
suit.
Bennett, are you sure?
Positive. I seen it.
You just you just sounded like, how could you be so sure? Please tell me you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I forget the like Skylock. However, Bennett's fiance contested their assailant did not have bunny ears on his head, but was wearing I don't know that that's a big word for
A
Elmo, but was
cap
wearing a white caparot
capirote.
capybara of some sort. I'm sorry. They both remembered seeing his face clearly, but in the darkness, they did not determine his race. The police returned the hatchet to Bennett after examination.
So that was the Genesis event. So keep in mind, this is how few well, as far as we know, I mean, if we have listeners that are in Fairfax, Virginia that have had experiences, definitely write into us about them because we want to hear
Let
them.
us know.
But it was really hard to come up with like encounters for the Bunnyman. The second one was the second reported sighting occurred on the evening of October 29th, 1970, when construction security guard Paul Phillips approached a man standing on the porch of an unfinished home in King Park West on Guinea Road. Phillips said the man was wearing a gray, black, and white bunny costume and was about 20 years old, 5 feet, 8 inches tall, weighed about 175 pounds, and the man began chopping at a porch post with a long handled axe, saying, "You are trespassing. If you come any closer, I'll chop off your head." So,
Yum.
yeah, no, not very fun.
Tasty.
And there was, so I'll just brief this one. The other incident, and again, this was kind of just like a Reddit thread, so we don't know credibility wise if how true it was, but there was a gal there that was basically talking about how they went to Bunnyman Bridge, and when they pulled up, um somebody in the back seat was like frozen. They were like, "Oh my gosh, look, look, look." She said this like very attractive older gentleman came up to the car and like literally ripped her car door open and like angrily like was like, "You're trespassing." He had a dog with him, and she said it was like a white, very like docile dog, like very like abnormal and kind of strange how like calm it was for how like tense and like angry like his owner was. And so she was like, he ripped my car door open, started yelling at us about trespassing. Like we got out of there. And then as we were driving away, like they were kind of looking back, and he was like in like white clothing, but he was just like being odd. And she's like, so it wasn't so much supernatural, but it was the fact that like this guy was like, "I'm gonna rip you from your car." That's what she thought, at least. So like that was like the scariest part. But other than that, Bunnyman really hasn't been a hotspot for like paranormal activity, which I just would be interested once in my life. Like it's a place that's on my bucket list. Like I want to go. I don't think I'll get out of my car.
I feel like there was just some sign in the universe that said that you shouldn't go because when you said you wanted to go, it distorted your voice.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Oh,
No, 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 you not go now.
oh,
You
well,
stay.
well,
That
there
was a
goes my dream
universal
of
sign.
that. There goes my dreams of that. But it's probably for the best. Because I
Okay.
feel like knowing me, like I would have some awful luck. Like my tire would just decide to deflate at that point. Like I'd pull to the bridge and be like, "Ooh, this is spooky," try and have a good time. And my car would just be like, "Hey, hey, hey, you thought."
Dude, those
That would be
kinds of
like the worst place
situations,
to get stuck.
that's like getting stuck on Clinton Road. So many people say that like getting stuck on
Ah.
there is the worst fucking thing you could do. Like my brother one time, his friends took him and decided to go for a drive. And I'm pretty sure he mentioned, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he had mentioned that like the kid was already like low on gas. And I was like, bro, if you had
Everybody
gotten
knows
stuck
that when
there,
you go on Clinton Road, you need to check every tire
yeah,
pressure. Your gas tank needs to be on F. You need to make sure you have oil, coolant. I don't even care. Windshield washer fluid. Like you make sure your car is
I'll
topped
fucking
off, it's
spit
prime
in it
shape.
if I need to. I'll put saliva in the gas tank.
Let me tell you
I'll
something.
Flintstone my ass out of there.
I would, that's what I was gonna say. I will Flintstone my ass off that road
Yeah, but then
because
I'm like, get the fuck out of there.
we've had crazy supernatural experiences on Clinton Road. We, I thought for sure, like this one ride that we went on, mind you, there was like, we were packed in a Honda Accord, and like, there was like 5 of us. Like, we were like driving down
Okay.
that road. It was, yeah, not safe. Would not recommend it. I was stupid and young. Um, but it was, we got chased by a phantom truck, literally bumped our bumper. I thought for sure he was gonna like turn our car out, and it was really scary because like There was a fake police officer that tried to pull us over. That was
What the
scary.
fuck?
There was so many crazy things. We saw a I can't like talk right now. The mucus in my throat is
It's
like
okay. Mine has a
um
party in mind, so it's okay.
it's terrible. But there was like a how do I word this? Because I don't even like saying the name. There was a specific group that we are not a fan of, that is very terrible, that was hosting a bonfire in the woods. And they had a burning cross. You could see it from across
Oh,
there's a point when you get to the Dead Man's Lake where you can see it. Um, and then they have a lot of there's just like a lot of like cult activity and things that go on there, as well as just like illegal activities, and there's like the old butcher house and stuff. But we witnessed a lot of crazy things, and my best friend actually ended up doing a, I don't know if it was like film class or what that she had. It was like creative something. They did a film project on Clinton Road, so we had to go back there during like dusk ish,
God. Ew.
and we went to like the old children's playground and like filmed
No.
parts for it, starring moi. It was my film debut. Um, but yeah, it was creepy. And so like there are aspects of that that kind of remind me of Bunnyman Bridge, where this other supernatural entity, nobody really knows like what it is, or like why it's there, or what it's related to. And I kind of was trying to do a little bit more research on it, didn't really find much. But there's been a lot of reports of people saying that they keep seeing this. I think it's a lot of people have said a woman, but some people have said a man. This figure in white that they've had encounters with. Um, and so I'd be really interested to see like what that is. Like sometimes I wish I just had like the power of knowing. Like I could just like walk up to something and just be like, tell you the whole thing in like the just know the truth,
You're
not
like, just
just
give
like
me a minute.
vibes or like little bits
Yeah,
and
got it.
pieces. Like, because like I pick up things sometimes like when I go places, but it's like it's not enough to paint the picture.
Mhm.
And so like I would love to have that ability to be able to like literally lay it out and say, okay, this is the truth. This is what happened. This is what this is connected to. Is there even a bunny man? But it's like I don't know. It's spooky because it's like you go there thinking you're gonna see the bunny man, and then this like figure in white, people are saying, and everything like seems to be like the bunny man's wearing like a white bunny suit, this guy's wearing a white shirt. Then they're saying this one, that couple where this all originated from, the guy was wearing white. And so I'm like, I wonder, like, do you think it's all the same entity?
Maybe. Maybe people perceive it differently.
Maybe.
Hmm.
I don't
I don't
know.
know.
I'd be interested. I would
No,
be very interested.
that's how I feel though when you were saying about how you wish you could know. You wish you can, and you had a dream and you wish you could. Please tell me
Wait,
you know what I'm talking about.
what is it?
You just dissociated.
I just associated.
I said when you wish and you had a dream and you wish you could.
Oh, yeah, I use it all the time. That little kid.
Um,
I straight up just dissociated. I was
I
like,
know, I was like, wait a minute, she didn't get the
uh,
joke, and I know she knows that joke. Um, that's like how I am with like serial killer, like true crime stuff. Like I wish that those cases were like they get unsolved or they're left unsolved. My mom loves watching unsolved cases with that
yeah.
blonde lady, I forgot her name. And I watch them with her sometimes, and it's so frustrating how sometimes they just don't like you don't get the answers to things. Like wasn't like for example the Zodiac killer, wasn't he never like figured
So
out?
he wasn't, but he was. So like when it would have been helpful, he was never found. But
Hmm.
by the time they came up with like it was one of those like 99.8%
Hmm.
certain that it was a certain somebody. And
Oh.
oh, we got a hair. We got a hair. Taylor just got a
I
hair in her
I
mouth.
caught I coughed in my arm and I think I collected a hair. He said, "Let's go for the
Ew.
ride."
Ugh. But yeah,
Mm.
so it was one of those things where they were like, 99.8% sure that it was this certain person,
Yeah.
and eh, the person that they think that it was passed. So
Oops.
like yeah, there was like and they were pretty certain. Like they were like, "Hey, this is the person."
That's
Um
what sucks. Like you'll never really know.
and
It's
I
like
think
things
what
like
sucks
that.
the most is the families. Like I
Yeah.
think I would much rather be in a situation where I have that very like, here's the body, here's this, we know what happened, case closed. Like, and I can move on and heal. My heart truly like goes out and feels for like these families that they don't ever get that.
Yeah.
Like, because like I know like I have anger issues when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like if somebody hurts somebody in my family, it is popping off. Like it's bad news. And so
Hmm.
like I know that I would want to, I would pull a Gerard Butler from Law Abiding Citizen. I
Oh,
would
I've
go
seen
rogue.
it. I
What?
don't know. I have to see to know
Best
what you're
movie.
talking about.
It's so good. Matt doesn't like it because he's like he's very like two wrongs don't make a right. And meanwhile I'm sitting there with my popcorn and I'm like, two wrongs make a right.
That's
Like
how I am.
I'm like an eye for an
Patrick,
eye, bitch.
you and Patrick are the same. He's always like, yeah, I fight fire with fire, and I'm like, but two wrongs don't make a right. Like
Is
you
that a
aren't any
Russo
better.
gene? Is that a Russo
Maybe,
gene?
maybe it could be.
Because you and Matt are like such like sweet, like peaceful, docile creatures, and
Patrick hates
like
me for it sometimes. He gets so annoyed. Like when I have something happen and I'm like, it is what it is. Like I'll get over it. Like it's fine. And he's like, no, like be mad about
burn
it. Just
their
be
house
fuck
down.
yeah, like fucking be mad about it. I'm like, no, there's no point. It's a waste of energy.
It's so funny because it's like it depends on what it is. Like I have times where I am like that and I'm like, I really just don't fucking care. And I'm like, let's
Mhm.
move past it. But then there's some times where I'm like, we ride at fucking dawn. I am coming for you. I'm coming for everything that you love, and I will literally set your soul on fire. Like, and it's like Matt's like, Morgan, you gotta like let it go. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, 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 my astrology sign is a Cancer. We don't do that. We are grudge holders. I will carry that till my grave. And I've really been working on that. I have been. I've been trying to be better.
You're doing a great job.
Uh, uh, could be
You're doing great,
better.
sweetie.
Could be better. No, but yeah, so it's like for these families that don't have they don't have that closure, like I would just be like I could imagine. And
Mhm.
like this is just one of those things where like I do like wonder because like there's people in, so what I thought was interesting was there's people in Fairfax, Virginia that like genuinely think that Connolly guy who's doing all the research and stuff, they like refuse to believe that he's telling the truth about the Bunnyman. Like that it's not just this simple, like this guy was like, hey, you're trespassing, threw a hatchet.
Yeah.
And they were like, and spun into this whole thing. So they're like convinced that the story that they've heard, that they've grew up on, that's the story. And they like are genuinely convinced that like Fairfax County and Connolly are like in cahoots and are trying to cover up like some like major like science experiment type creature.
Like area 48.
Area. What's the zip code here?
I don't fucking know. I didn't
We're
get
gonna
that
call
deep.
it
I didn't get that deep.
whatever. I don't know. I thought I'd have it right here, but it's like area 9688 9657
Area 69.
Taylor.
Whoa! I didn't do it. Didn't do it.
I
What do you
can't do
mean?
it. I can't do
Okay.
it.
Happy birthday, Raven. I
I
can't
cannot.
scream.
We are
I
a
can't
mess.
find it. I
But for
tried to
those of
find
you
it.
that want to see, I'll put it up quickly. Hopefully my screen is not a little bitch.
Yacht.
This is Bunnyman Bridge.
It's giving
This
me bad
is
vibes.
Huh?
It's giving me bad vibes.
Yeah, it's just like when you look at it, even in the daytime, it's like no, there's just
Yeah.
like a
Well, no
there's a
wonder.
certain je ne sais quoi,
No
a
wonder
je
why
ne sais quoi.
they're fucking seeing white shit. The whole fucking tunnel's white. Like,
Like
maybe that's what
honestly
they're
though,
seeing.
seriously, like I mean, even if like especially at nighttime, I'm blind as a motherfucking bat, okay? If I think that I see something like and you're saying that he's in all white and the bridge is white, how do you see something that's in all white against a white bridge?
That's true. That's
I don't
true.
understand.
Or like, you know how when you're in a state of adrenaline and sometimes your mind doesn't give you the right information and maybe people are associating the white bridge with a man.
Oh, that's a good point. That's actually a really good point. I feel like there's
It's
probably many layers to it, but I thought it was kind of funny that like people are like, no, you're wrong, Connolly. We know you're covering something up, and it's like, bro, they've released aliens. They released their aliens. Once the government was like, aliens are for real, I was like, well, I wonder what other cryptids are gonna come out of the woodworks. Like, do they have a Sam Squatch? Like
swear.
are they keeping Bunnyman in a
No,
secret bridge in Area 51?
no, it's like the cabin in the woods. They're keeping each of them in different boxes.
Oh, that freaked me out.
That shit's
Do you know that
scary.
that movie literally took such a 360 turn?
It's fucking
I was
I
like, how
love
did
the
we
ending
go from
though.
like just literally like a cabin in the woods, like it was like a horror movie, like a good like
The ending is the best though. That's the like
it's really
scariest
good.
part.
It's really good, but I was just like not expecting that. Like I thought the movie was like
Yeah.
about to be like done, and then like all of
Mm.
a sudden like she takes that crazy ass elevator to like the 85,000th
Yeah.
dimension.
But that like that turning point on just made the movie so much better. Like that point to the end and the fact that there wasn't a happy ending. We need more movies like that where like the
There were
main
some
characters.
justifications though.
Yeah. But I like sometimes when they do those types of movies where like the main character doesn't survive and the
True.
story ends up being like fucked up and you're like, well shit. But it's like one of those movies where it's like I'm okay with that. Where compared to like other movies where if say that did happen and like you wanted the happy ending and it's one of those storylines where it
And
would
you're
be
like,
stupid.
motherfucker.
Yeah. Like then it's horror movies I feel like it's better to have those well everybody dies type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I could see like the Buddy Man being down there in like one of those
Yeah.
cubicles. Can you imagine? Like we
Yeah.
were in a cabin in the woods and we just slingshot like our asses down the elevator and we're like, he's real. He's in cubicle number 9. It's like a vending machine for like cryptids and like paranormal.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, and number 8, we have Mothman. And he's just like reading a newspaper, drinking some coffee. He's like, hey guys.
And then he's next to Sasquatch, but Sasquatch, his name says, "Hi, my name is." Was it? What did they say in the commercial? Bill or
Bill.
something? Bill.
Bill. Hi, my name is Bill. And then recently learned about Dogman.
Mm-hmm.
That was interesting. I'm on a Dogman wormhole right now.
Mm.
This is my current neurodivergent fixation at the moment. I'm trying to learn
Oh.
more about this cryptid, but I'm like, you know how they always say like when certain movies come out, like what the hell did they say with like the pandemic? They said that what was that? The strain? No, not the strain.
Um,
The one with the monkey. Outbreak? I think it
I
was
don't
Outbreak. I'm
remember.
gonna say Outbreak. I could be wrong on that, but they were like every movie has like a little bit of like foreshadowing or like truth to it. What if like
Mm-hmm.
Cabin in the Woods?
I could see that, but being like on a more fucked up level, not so much like a horror type of
Like the
thing, but like a more
Stranger Things
fucked up.
factory, but like filled.
Yeah, like they would have people like that, kind of like guinea pig type of style system, but like just
Yeah.
serial killers and fucked up people and like just throw people into a room and then
And then
unlock
they
one of
just
the
decide
doors.
like when they're gonna just let them loose into society.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, speaking of, I literally today had curiosity because my mom was watching true crime when I went to go see her, and I was like, which state has the most like not like true crime because like you could talk about many different places, which I hate that like two towns in New Jersey are considered like the top crime, one of them being Camden and the other being I think it
That
was
was our fifth life. We survived New Jersey.
yeah. There was
So
another one in New Jersey. I forgot what it was. But I was looking and it's like the top state that has the most like well-known serial killers is New York.
I can see that.
And I was
I
like,
can
damn,
100% see that. I get off the train at like Penn Station and I was like, I already feel like I'm in danger.
I'm in danger.
Yeah, that's literally laughs nervously. That is like my life. Like I'd step off of the bus, the train, you name it, and I was like, oh, I remember one time I was meeting my best friend in the city because at the time the guy that she was with lived there and I think he was going to like music school or something. I don't remember. And so I was meeting her there and she's like, well, it's only like a 30-minute ride. She's like, just hop on the bus or whatever. And I was like, I don't think I've ever like anytime I've gone into the city, I've always like been with a friend or like I've never like solo like just tripped it into the
I
city.
can't do it.
So I just like was like, you know what? True Morgan fashion. I was like, fuck it. Hashtag fuck it. We're gonna spread our wings and we're just gonna fly. And so I did. I just bought a ticket, the little bodega, bought myself a little bus ticket, hopped on. Did not mention this to anybody in my family because they would be like, Morgan,
Oh my
Alexis.
God.
But I let like my friends know my location just in case.
Oh, Jesus.
And I got there and then like my friend was like, yeah, I'll be waiting there for you. And then she ended up like losing her wallet and had to like go
Nice.
back. So and like wasn't texting me. And so when I got there and she wasn't there, I'm like, oh, this is really scary. And I like got off and I'm like, well, today is the day. If I'm gonna be a victim of crime, it's gonna happen today. I'm like, because here I am. I look like a deer in headlights. I have no fucking clue where I am. I'm probably gonna get mugged on the sole purpose that I'm
Oh
like
God.
dissociating at the moment and just trying to figure out my surroundings. And yeah, it was fine though. I found her and I forget if they drove me home or what happened, but I got home.
Was it daytime or nighttime when you went?
That was my sixth life. That was my sixth life.
Was it during the day or was it nighttime?
It was during the day, but we didn't go
Okay.
home until like later that night. And I can't remember for the life of me if we took the bus home or if her boyfriend drove us home.
Hmm.
I feel like we drove home. I don't know why. I think it was just the bus to get there.
Well,
And
you're
then I
here
think
now.
yeah. But I survived.
You
But New York
did.
City, I mean, that is a sketchy place. Love it. Love it. But gotta be careful.
Mhm.
Gotta be careful. Especially you gotta watch out for those characters. They're trying to get you in Times Square. They are
Fucking
so
ugly. I
creepy.
hate that like they can't even just
They're like, here's a picture.
put
They're like,
a
we want a $20 tip. I'm like, I thought tips were like what I choose them to be.
but they're not even like good looking. They're fucking
They
knockoff
look
Timu
tattered.
versions.
They look
They're
tired.
they're
Like
Taylor Timu creations, okay? Like
like
they
if
look
Elmo had just
trashy.
bumped a line of like cocaine and just stayed up for like
He
48 days
probably did
straight.
before he took pictures.
That's what those characters in New York City look like. You want to talk about something scarier than Bunnyman? The characters in Times Square, New York City, look like they are operating purely on like Scarface cocaine while drinking Four Locos and haven't slept in like 8 years.
I love when people who aren't from New Jersey or New York, I love when they come to visit New York and like the bucket list item on their list is to take pictures with those people. And I'm like, why?
They like
For
come to
what?
Times Square and they're like so excited and I'm like, "Hey,
Yeah.
have you ever seen a New York City rat? That's something new. It's
Be
interesting."
like, yeah, go stand over on the corner of this street and take a nice deep whiff. You smell that? That's sewage trash.
Hey, you know it's even better when you come home at the end of the day and you blow your nose. It's gonna be nothing but
Oh,
smog.
yeah.
That was
And
like
then
always
like,
my the worst. I would get home after a
oh
long
my
day and I
God,
just felt like I needed to like blow my entire like sinus system out through
so
my
gross.
ass because it was
But
just so
then
congested.
But then you would take like 10 steps to like the left and you'd get hit with nuts for nuts. And it'd be like, oh, that's fucking
Yeah,
delicious.
the
And then
nuts
you
smell
take
good.
10 more steps and then you hit the kebab stand. And then you're like, what the fuck? And then you get a hint of ass and more sewage.
Dude, some of the steam that would come up from like the
Oh,
sewers, it was just hot cream cheese ass on like a 4th of July day that just been
it's so
sitting out for 2
gross.
years.
Uh,
It's terrible.
that's such a great way of putting it. I never thought of putting it that way. Hot cream cheese ass.
Yeah.
It really
Yeah.
is. It's disgusting.
And but they make songs about it. They make song. There are some. I will say there are some like there really is like I feel like unless you're from like Jersey or New York or like a surrounding area and you would go often, you wouldn't understand the love hate relationship, and it's really
Yeah.
just all love and just like mild annoyances
It's the little pet peeves.
because it's just like you just it's the I want to say it's like the surprise factor maybe unpredictability. That's a better word. I was trying to find the word. Like I think it's the unpredictable factor, like the fact that you like might turn a corner and there might be a man in a speedo playing a guitar. You
Yeah.
might go to the right and there might be somebody completely naked. There might be somebody tripping out in the middle of Times Square.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't know what you're going to see. You might get hit by a taxi. It's
So much
just
shit.
it's a lot of excitement. It's adrenaline
Times
rush.
Times Square is how my brain works. Like you just look at every corner and there's just something different, something new. And you're
There's
like,
lots of
oh,
hobbies going on.
yeah.
So I'm saying there's like a man on like a unicycle.
Hmm.
You have like
And
these.
then you got those carriages that come down playing like just a Bieber and shit or whatever. Like, was it when my sisters and I went to go see the 1975 that night that Kevin Ball was on the episode,
Yeah.
and we came out and they had two or three carts lined up and they had like the 1975 blasting in it, and it was like really photogenic, so it had like a background so you could take like selfies, and it had like the lights and stuff, and I'm like, yep, this is how you know you're in New York.
It's I'm telling you, it's either really aesthetically pleasing and it's fantastic or it's just really bad. Like
It's visually nice to look at, but when you're physically there, it's deceiving because it's smelly. I feel like oh God, what movie was that with Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston and the guy from Key and Peele, and he's like, your hair, let me count the ways, is dull, is dead,
oh
is
yes,
smelly.
it's where she pretends to be his wife, right?
Was it not blended? Just go with it.
Just go with it.
That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
what it reminds me of. Like you just start counting the ways
But you
of
like fall in love with it. It's so that's what I'm saying. It's
it's
so weird. It's like
deceiving.
it's a love hate because like then you take a walk around Central Park and you're like, I could like spend a lot of time in here. Or like you go to like Little Italy or like Chinatown is a trip, man. They are
Some
hustling,
places
bustling.
you have to really like go there during certain times, not during the busy like holidays, and you have to really either know somebody or find good places. Like I had never been over to Brooklyn until I got to college, and I knew somebody who loved to go thrifting, and she brought me to this little like nook area like in Brooklyn that had the coolest thrift places that would literally blow all the thrift stores in New Jersey out of the
Oh
water
yeah.
because they'd be at really good prices. There was shit that like you couldn't find in like Udelco in Hawthorne, New
Well, that's because
Jersey,
their
or
sourcers at those thrift stores are like it's all fashion district. It's all like people who like and I feel like New York, like when those babies come out of the womb, they're just fashionistas.
mhm.
Like there's something in the water there that they just come out and they're like they
Yes, the
know.
sewage water.
Yeah, it's there's some kind of magic in the sewage water. No,
Sewage.
but that honestly, New York is the top of my list when it comes to like thrift shops. Like I love thrifting and like
Hmm.
Madison, New Jersey, I always liked, but that's because you get like I gotta figure out how to say this without catching heat, but like you get all the good stuff that
Hmm.
people only wear like once and they don't want to use it anymore. And you're like, wow, a
Hmm.
Chanel bag for $10. I'll
Yeah.
take it. Like
But now the problem is that now, and
it's
there's no
become
shade
popular.
towards it. Yeah, like thrifting is the new thing. And so all of like my sisters well, I can't say my sister's generation because she is my generation, but like the younger half of my generation, because I am unfortunately tiled in with the Gen Zs, even though I feel like I'm half Gen Z, but I relate more to the millennials because I'm just on the cusp by 2 years. Right? It's 96 or 97 that's the cutoff for millennials.
I don't know. I just rock 94 and I just know that I'm a what am I, a
Well,
Gen Z?
yeah, no, you're millennial. I think it's either 96 or 97 that the cutoff is for millennials. And then 97 or 98 is when Gen Z begins.
Oh, okay. So I'm a millennial.
Yeah.
You're Gen Z.
Mhm. But
Okay.
I'm like, I relate more and I deal with more
You're on
millennial
paper
stuff.
Gen Z, but you're really a
Yeah.
millennial in
Yeah.
spirit.
Yeah. But I forgot what I was saying that. Oh, because a lot of the like my sister's half of Gen Z, they all like thrifting now. But like it's not even for like it is for fun, but like they a lot of these kids do it for like the fashion so that they could like post about it and boast all over social media that they got like this and that.
Yeah.
But like for me, like I just like finding like old vintage cozy ass shit. Like that's how I am. Like but it's hard now because when especially in New Jersey because it's so populated, you go to like a vintage store or a thrift store, like you really, really either have to spend time in there or you have to go to a place that you know won't be popular. Like there, like I was saying
Yeah.
before, there's a place in Hawthorne called Udelco. It's a huge warehouse that has buckets and boxes full of like they have it all organized, but like it's become such a trend since COVID happened that like all the kids go there, so all the good stuff gets taken. So there's like nothing left. It sucks.
Yeah, it's definitely become a big thing. Like I remember like when thrifting was it was not like my best friend is actually the one that kind of got me into it.
Mm,
Because like she's taken me to the Goodwill with her and she's like, dude, this is where all the best like college teas are.
love Goodwill.
And I still have my it was my very first thing that I ever got at Goodwill. It was a Boston University sweatshirt. And I loved that thing. Like I mean, I love that thing. I still have it. It's like gray with like the faded kind of blue writing. It's just,
Hmm.
like when things are just worn in just right. Like,
Yeah.
and that's like if there's one thing I could say about thrifting, the best thing about it is that everything is broken in to
Hmm.
the perfect like degree. And I'm not talking broken in as like, because some of this stuff, like, I'm like, you guys should be embarrassed that you dropped this off at Goodwill. It's got like a shit stain on the
Or
pants.
like when they try to sell like underwear and bras, and I'm like, I'm not buying that shit. That's fucking nasty.
I'm
I'd
like, bro,
rather
there's a
spend
skitty.
20 bucks, right?
There's a
I'd ra
skitty.
I'd rather spend 20 bucks on a new pair of underwear than wear shit that's already been worn.
Yeah, you can get underwear and bras pretty cheap. There's some things that I won't like I
Yeah.
understand if it's like a survival thing and like it's absolutely needs to be
Hmm.
done, but I am very grateful and fortunate that I'm not at a point where I need to buy secondhand underwear or bras because mattresses, there's some things, when it comes to bras, underwears, mattresses. I'm trying to think of what are like hairbrushes. Like there's just some things that maybe you should just get brand new
Hmm. If you can.
as if you can, because otherwise bugs, germs, scabies,
Chlamydia.
chlamydia, syphilis. No, but yeah, it's so everything is great. But the city, I'll tell you guys before we go a quick horror story. So again, a lot of my city experiences with my best friend, and we back in our club era, because the clubs were all
Mhm.
popping when I was a teen. We got like all like clubbed out, like heels, and I was feeling fine this night. Like I was actually like, wow, my outfit is like on fire, my hair turned out good, makeup, like it was just one of those nights where everything came out perfect. And like we showed up to this club that everybody was like, oh, this place is like the place in the city. Like, so we go. And it was like down like it was the more I'll call it like the organic side of the city, like more hipster kind of scene. And so I was like, all right, club, like let's see what it's about. So we walk in. And it was not the vibe. I was kind of like, damn. Like I danced for a little bit and I had fun, but then like me and my best friend were doing that thing where like you look at each other across the room and you're like, it's time to go. Like just not feeling it. And so we started to leave, and her boyfriend at the time like lived probably like a couple blocks over, probably like 5 minute walk. And so we're walking and it's nighttime, mind you, like it's a little chilly out, and like we're in heels, like we were in club heels. So she like had lower heels than me. And I'm like shuffling along the sidewalk, and my foot caught the edge of a trash can, like one of those tin
Oh
trash cans. So
God.
it was really loud. And it was like, dung. And then all of a sudden, a whole like stampede of like New York rats came out. Like, I'm
Ew.
talking like easily 20, 30 rats. Like, it was
From the can?
like, I guess, I don't know if they were feeding behind it,
Ugh.
or I don't know if they like were. It was almost like, you ever see like where like a car disturbs birds and the whole flock of
Yeah.
them, like it was like that but on the ground.
Oh,
And
ew.
so the hardest I've ever, I, it was so funny. I screamed bloody murder and like took off running this way away from the rats. My best friend started running toward like with the rats and like didn't notice the rats. And then
What?
once I realized I was in the clear, I'm like, "Where are you going?" Like, and like she stopped and she's like, "What happened?" She's like, "What the fuck was that?" And I was like, "It was like city rats." I'm like, "You didn't see them?" I'm like, "Because if you're not from New York or New Jersey or surrounding area that you go to New York often, one thing that you need to know is New York City rats are a different breed of rat. They are not the
They're
kind
like
of
little
cute,
bears.
like, yeah. They're like a muskrat. They're big. They're fucking huge. And like their tails are like a piece of licorice. Like
They
it's
go to the gym.
scary. Huh?
They go to the gym.
Yeah. They go to the Planet Fitness
Gym tan
24/7.
laundry.
Gym tan laundry all day. But these rats are no joke. They're like mafia rats. So like they come running out, and it's like it's a little overwhelming. So like she was like running with the rats, didn't even know that she was. And I was like, well then I said, if you didn't see them, what were you screaming and running from? I was like, I ran the opposite direction. She's like, I don't know. Like I thought maybe it was like aliens or something. And I was like, what? I was like, what? I don't even know what to say to that. I'm like, I was screaming and running because there was a pile of rats that we just knocked out of a trash can. And like, you thought I was running and screaming because like aliens. She's like, I don't know. It seemed really serious and it was really scary. And so I thought maybe something was coming out of the sky. And I'm like, we're literally in New York City. My
Makes sense,
last thought
right?
would be aliens in this place. It could be anything. And so I thought that was really funny. But that was my horror story. It was really scary because those rats were disgusting. They were super
Dude, they have 9 to 5
big.
jobs in the city. The city has created cubicles for that breed of rats.
Yeah. They work hard for the money. They work
There's
hard for the
something else.
money. There's
I
probably like
hate
a rat strip club.
I just had an ADHD moment. You just made me think of the bird cage. Have you ever seen the bird cage?
Yeah.
So
It's like one of the best movies.
were you making that reference?
No.
She works hard for the
For the
money.
money.
She
I
works
didn't think about it until
hard
you
for the
said it.
money. That is like one of our favorite lines in the house. That and what do you mean a seafood chowder? Fuck the shrimp.
He's the chef is like literally when I watched it with
I
Matt, because I
love
don't think
him.
Matt had ever seen it before then. When I like showed him like the chef scene, he was cracking up. It
I
was so
fucking love
funny.
it. He's like, they're looking at the bowls. They're like, that looks like a penis.
I love that movie.
I
I
love
love
it.
it.
It's so cute.
But yeah,
Nathan Lane does such a good job in that movie.
I feel like they all did like just
They
such a
did.
good job in that movie. And like,
Mm,
what's his? I can't think of his name. But
Robin
yeah,
Williams?
they did all of, huh?
Robin Williams?
No, his spouse
Nathan Lane?
is that Nathan Lane?
Yeah, the one who always like he was so dramatic the whole movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Nathan Lane,
He
yeah.
was like super.
I forgot.
He's just, yeah, like super sensitive and like
Oh yeah,
emotional,
yeah,
and yeah.
yeah.
But yeah,
Oh, we love that.
so I think now that we're far past Bunnyman Bridge,
Yeah, no, I don't
we
know what
should.
happened to that.
It's all right. I feel like after every case we do a little bit of ghoul talk, which isn't like a
Mhm.
bad thing. But we should probably probably wrap it up. I feel like we're both dead. Yeah.
We both
Well,
dissociated a few times too.
yeah, the dissociation was real tonight. I don't we were just like leaning into it heavy, but hopefully we will have more energy on the next episode. We're
Yes.
coming back. Like I told you guys yesterday, we're gonna have Father Vincent Lampert on the podcast, which I'm really excited about. So stay tuned for that. We're working diligently to make some cool changes for this season 2, and get some cool stuff out there and get some cool people on here. But until next time, let's
Let's
get
get weird.
weird. Oh
I really
gosh.
had to slow it down to get that one.
I feel like we just like gotta just like shoot for it, and then whatever happens happens.
That's true. That's true.
All right, let's do it really fast. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Let's get
Let's get
weird.
weird. The lid. The lid. The lid. The lid.
Well, thanks for listening, guys, and until next time,
Smell you later.
smell you later. Bye.
Bye.